we're going to get Harry Symeou. In fact, let's get Harry Symeou on now. Let's talk about everything with Harry Symeou from Chronicles of a Gooner podcast, who must be absolutely
He's going to be buzzing. He's going to come on first thing and say he's going to win the league.
You know what Harry always does when he loves life? Puts the Barbie on. So this could be coming from his kitchen, his back garden, I don't know. Harry, look, great to have you. Before we talk Declan Rice, let's talk about the one that's done. Happens, he's an Arsenal player, we're hearing for 5 years. Kai Havertz, talk to me, how excited are you about that one?
Yeah, obviously, really, really pleased with the Kai Havertz signing as well. I think that is something that's going to add a lot of different options to our midfield. If you read the statement from Arsenal, the announcement pieces, there is a real deliberate mention of midfield, and there's been a lot of discussion around where he'll play. Can he play right? Can he play left? Etc. etc. But it looks as though, based on that, Arsenal are looking at him as a midfield option. So yeah, really pleased that he's come in through the door. It is a lot of money, but unfortunately in today's market, you need to pay big amounts of money if you want to get players in through the door of that caliber and of that quality, especially when you're signing them from a rival as well.
Harry, good to speak to you this evening, bro. Be honest, how concerned were you or surprised were you as an Arsenal fan with the attainment of Kai Havertz? Was you in the camp of, you don't really see how it fits, do we need him, why him? Or are you in the camp of, now Mikel Arteta has so much credit in the bank with making signings work that you just fall in line and trust in him?
Yeah, I think there is that element of it. You know, you kind of fall in line because there's been players linked with Arsenal over the last few seasons, the likes of, you know, players linked that eventually went on to sign. But you had, you know, the likes of, Ben White, Declan Rice, Ben White and Aaron Ramsdale.
Look at Declan Rice is on. Look at that. They can't look. It's not even done yet, Addy.
He's got the Declan Rice on his mind.
Do you know what I mean?
Don't blame
him. It's not even done yet.
I've got him on my mind. I'm sorry. But what I'm trying to say is that players like Ben White, Aaron Ramsdale, who were linked with the club for big amounts of money, you know, at the time we all looked at them and went, I'm not really sure about this. I'm not sure that makes a lot of sense at that price. And we were proved wrong. So I think as Arsenal fans, for us, Mikel Arteta does have that credit in the bank. And we're now kind of able to just sit back and say, well, if you want him, we trust that it's the right thing for the football club. I've said it to Ade before. I actually did a podcast before the window opened, and I put Kai Havertz on my list of players that I'd look at. I did.
Wait, as a midfielder?
No, I just put him on as an option because I thought there would be an opportunity to get him in a cut price deal, given that his career at Chelsea hasn't been very successful, with the exception of that one goal in the Champions League final. So I guess you could say it was successful. You know, he's not very well loved by the Chelsea fans. You always felt like his time there was coming to an end. And I thought he was worth taking a gamble on. I didn't think it was worth 65 odd million pounds, which Arsenal have gone on to pay. But obviously I'm pleased with the deal in the end because I believe in the player and I believe in Mikel Arteta's ability to get the best out of him.
All right, let's move on from that one. That one's done now. He's released a statement. Arsenal put a video up. We know he's going to be North London bound right now. Let's talk about Declan Rice. This is the big one, right? This was the saga, the tug of war between you and Manchester City. You can believe all the conspiracy theories that have been put out there where Man City's serious about him. Doesn't matter. You've got your man. This was the number one target. I think you're overpaying a little bit for him, but it is what it is. 100 million plus 5 million in add-ons. Flex it at the start of the show. This is a statement. You're sending a statement to the Premier League, having come second last year, that Arsenal are now back. And when I mean back, I mean back. We're talking when I used to, think of Arsenal as a super team back in the 2000s and the early noughties under Arsene Wenger. Do you feel like you're back as well?
Yeah, I feel like we're on the way back. I feel like, last season was a big step forward. I felt like this summer we needed to back it up in the transfer window and we needed to make sure that we built on the great work that we did and took it to the next level rather than sort of resting on our laurels and maybe falling back within the pack again. I think it is a big statement. I think you need to give Arsenal a lot of credit here. I sat there with you on Monday, Adi, and I talked about the fact that I felt there was a lot of disrespect shown to Arsenal with regards to their pull as a football club and how attractive a proposition they can be. And I think I've been proven right because, Arsenal have gone in there. Yes, Manchester City's interest may have not been as strong as Arsenal's, but they got to the point where they put in a bid. And I'm not buying this nonsense that they only put in a bid to drive up the price for Arsenal, as if Manchester City care about Arsenal's finances.
They're mates though, aren't they, Harry? Though they are mates. They're mates.
Yeah. Well, but is Pep Guardiola going to directly help He's not. I think that City did have an interest. I think Arsenal were bold enough to go to that next amount, and that was enough to basically fend Manchester City off.
Does that not surprise you a bit, though? Because let's be honest, we're not talking about a team that have no money in Man City. Man City could have gone to 120 if they wanted. We've seen it with Jack Grealish, over 100 million. We know that they can go deep when they want to go deep. Does it surprise you that you've put in that bid, which is only 10 million more, and they've said, nah, it's enough?
No, because as I said to you again the other night, I didn't feel that Declan Rice was a real major need for them. I thought it was one of those things that they were looking at and they thought, well, this is an opportunity, but you don't have to take every single opportunity. I think they would have looked at it and gone, he could be a good addition for us, but there are other positions in which we need to strengthen as a priority first. And I think that's what's happened here.
Do you know what I think's happened? Do you know what I think? Really, sorry to cut across you. I think Declan Rice has made his view as to where he wanted to go.
I want to go to Arsenal.
Yeah, I think he's come out, and I think Pep's almost the manager. Like, if you don't want to come to us,
no
fine.
point. Yeah,
I'm not going to pursue you. Yeah,
I'm
not going to pursue you if you don't want to come. And I think Declan Rice has said, I want to go to Arsenal, and I think that's why Man City have stepped back.
I agree. That's another one of the reasons. Arsenal were bold enough to go up to that point financially that was going to get Manchester City off of their backs. And B, Arsenal have done all the groundwork in the background. They've convinced Declan Rice that this is the place to be. Arteta deserves credit for that. Edu deserves credit for that. Josh Kroenke was said to be really involved in the negotiations as well. He deserves credit for that because, as Flex mentioned before, you go back a couple of years and the viewpoint around the Kroenkes was very, very different. I think what Manchester City's bid did was give Arsenal a little bit of a kick that sort of said, look, you're not going to get this deal done at less than 100 million. And I think that West Ham probably were never going to deal at below 100 million. So although I think we would have got to this point eventually, I think Manchester City's interest did spark Arsenal into life a little bit more and give them that onus to move forward and try and wrap it up quicker. But I do think that Arsenal, as was reported widely by so many throughout this mini saga, if you want to call it that, I think Arsenal had the upper hand when it comes to the personal terms. And I think Arsenal knew all along that Declan Rice was wanting that move. And that's really helped them here.
Harry, expectation, right? Because, listen, as a Manchester United fan, I know all about spending huge money and being laughed at. Right, I do, and I'm not going to hide away from that. But with what Arsenal are building, in terms of, forget Declan Rice just as a £105 million player, just with the actual squad in general now, coming somewhat close to winning the Premier League last year, not doing too well in the other cups. How do you think Mikel Arteta deals with the next phase now for Arsenal? He's got his players. Saka, arguably the best in his position alongside Mo Salah. Martinelli, fantastic. Jesus needs to kick on, get some more goals, but nobody does what he does. Thomas Partey, when you can get the best out of him. Now you've got Declan Rice, you've got Gabriel, who's looking fantastic. Saliba, new deal, fantastic.
You've not even mentioned Odegaard.
Haven't even mentioned Odegaard, the captain.
Yeah.
And now you've brought in another potential captain in Declan Rice. Zinchenko, the list goes on. How do Arsenal deal now with their expectation? And actually, what is the realistic expectation next season? Is it, we need to be having honours now, that it's done and dusted? We can't just look pretty and get all these players and keep praising Mikel Arteta for the journey and the process.
Yep.
This is now 4 years and serious amount of money spent.
Yeah, of course. The expectation level goes up. That's what happens when you invest big. That's what happens when fans see progress from 1 year to the next. They always want more. And Mikel Arteta is going to have to learn to manage that. He is still a new manager, and I think people forget that at times. These are new experiences for him as an individual and as a head coach, whatever you want to call him. So I think, the expectation level does go up. But I think I've always said this since the end of last season. First and foremost, you have to maintain. And what I mean by that is you need to be up at the top of the table competing. That's the base level of what I expect from Arsenal next season. And obviously, with the investment that they're making this summer, you feel as though that's even more important. It's the expectation levels have risen. There's no question about that. And I think it's on Arsenal now to live up to them.
Harry, appreciate it coming as always, my man. Thank you very much. Harry Symeou there, host of Chronicles of a Gooner podcast, and obviously massive Arsenal fan. It's a shame I didn't ask him about grading the window. I mean, you gave it an 8. I would have given it 8. It'd be interesting to see what Harry would have said as well.